Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. Loot Crate is a subscription box service with $40 worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, and more delivered to your mailbox every month. This month, they're celebrating all the monsters you can fit in your pocket and the ones you need some crazy circle drawing skills to bring to the mortal realm. This month's crate features an exclusive collectible they're told is, quote, the most important object in pretty much the whole universe, end quote. Plus awesome items from Blizzard, Kid Robot, and more. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the offer code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today. Nick.
Yes.
You get to take us home.
Yes.
Yes, brother.
Yes. My topic comes from the good people over on Patreon.
Oh, patreon.com/kindafunny.
Yeah.
Where you get the shows early and, of course, support us at a tier that then gets your topic read on the show.
We should actually probably thank all of them.
Oh, there it is! Thank you for all
so
your
much.
support, ladies and gentlemen, in the month of
casting
July.
I'm casting a spell on it.
Whoa!
August.
Kevin,
Wait, no, they support in July.
just sit there and look pretty.
Maybe
I
it's
got this
August
from
now.
here, all right?
I'm gonna pee.
You're being real. Why's everyone got to pee?
Because they drank so much water. Whoa, what the hell was that? That was a weird-ass dance. Are you able to hear Nick's topic from
Make
there?
sure to Snapchat your pee, Tim.
You walked right through the special banner. Kevin, when you walk through the special banner, please animate it breaking in half and exploding. And I want the letters and words tumbling out into the screen.
Make anagrams with them.
Now, Greg, you went through
Have all the letters floating around us right now.
in anagram form, so make sure that's good. Now,
Yeah.
Greg, you pulled these topics from Patreon,
Sure did.
and then you let me pick which one that I wanted most.
Right.
Were they all from Rhonda?
Yeah, today was going to
Okay.
be the Rhonda episode.
The
But
Rhonda Strong
Rhonda,
episode.
I
Got
will
it.
use your topic next week, and Nick will use because we're going to do 2 Rhonda topics.
Yeah. All great episode, all great topics, by the way. But the one that I picked out of the two was Greg. Tim, can you hear me?
I hear a tinkle noise.
I can hear him pee-peeing.
Do you want to just fill time while he does it? Or you want to do it?
No, it's fine. I'll catch him up when he comes back.
What is the topic?
The topic is, what was the 90s like for you? What shows were your favorite? Did you steal a catchphrase from any show and use it all the time? I'll give you an example. Did I do that?
Family Matters. Yes.
Yeah,
circle.
Did you use rollerblades instead of a bike? What was your favorite 90s clothing? Anything that was you in the 90s, period. P.S. The Cold Cut episode may be the lowest in numbers, but from a person from the East Coast living in Seattle, it hit so close to home, and it was one of my favorite. Rhonda Strong.
Rhonda Strong, thank you for your topic.
So, Tim, the topic was, what were the 90s like for you?
Yeah.
Did you steal any catchphrases? What shows did you watch?
You came of age in the 90s.
Yes.
That was your time.
Real kind of.
Yeah, the 90s is an interesting thing for me because I'm definitely, I feel like I'm a 90s kid,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was born in 1989. So really, my time, like what I count like my growing up being is, and I feel like a lot of people that were born around my time say they're 90s kids, but it's really more like 95 to 2005.
Jesus.
Yeah, because when you were like 0 to 5, you don't know
That
shit.
doesn't mean
Yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So
You're being walked around
95
their
to
feet, yeah.
2005, that was me, going from being like kindergarten to mid-high school.
So cognizance.
Yeah, when you were cognizant, when
Yeah.
you understood what it was to wipe your own ass, and
to
whether or not
actually
you were doing a good job.
indulge in all of
Right.
these different
Ass wipes.
things. So there's a ton of stuff for me that like even if it happened in the 90s, it doesn't count for me. So
Interesting.
for me, life pretty much started with Power Rangers.
Right.
Yeah, and reruns of
unbelievable.
Transformers and Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
You just go for it from there. And then Nickelodeon, what was going on over there. Classics such as Space Cases.
Oh, we were just talking about Space Cases.
Yeah.
That is a classic. That's one word for it.
Nickelodeon had a lot of shows in the 90s that around that time period, so around 95 through 98 or so, this is before their their Nicktoons revolution had been occurring, right? They released Doug, Rugrats,
Yeah.
a couple of these like
Rocco.
Rocco. Yeah, those shows were happening. But it was before they went overboard. This is the pre-SpongeBob era.
Okay.
Where they really started realizing how to make money off of all of their cartoons and shit. And when they went off the deep end with live action shows that were more like sitcom-y as opposed to their
Okami.
like game Okami, or like their game shows like Guts or
Yeah.
Double
Legends of the Hidden
Dare,
Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple,
What's
and
the
all
one where
that
they
stuff.
slime people? Was that Double
Double
Dare?
Dare.
Yeah.
Well, they slime people also. in
You can't
others,
do that
but-
on television.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Which then later turned into Figure It Out and all this other stuff. And
Do
so,
you remember?
Summer Sanders.
Do
Love her.
you
oh,
remember?
God damn.
Do you remember, or was he too young? Or too young? Stickly.
Of course. So
Just making sure.
So that is P.O. Box,
That's my dude.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
New York,
dude,
New York.
Stickly.
Six, and then Face on Nick Jr. and all this stuff. So the 90s
See, I don't know
of
Face.
Nickelodeon, that's because it was more of like a little
Juniors.
kid. You were probably at school and stuff during the time.
That's the thing for me. 90s. What you're talking about is I was a 90s kid. You know what I mean? Like I feel cognizant. I come online and remember lots of things starting in '89 because that's when I'm going to first grade, kindergarten or first grade. I guess both. Maybe that's how it worked. And then I remember going to Ghostbusters 2 in the theater and like having like that's like a crystal clear memory
That's
of doing
89.
that stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so then just going on from there, like I remember when Power Rangers came around and I was a little too old to be into them, but I was super into them. All right, Portillo, they're taking you. No, don't worry about it, Kev. I got this. Everybody say goodbye to Portillo.
Bye, Portillo.
Right in there.
See you in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm coming.
God.
You want me to go? Move.
Yeah, so
I
on
was-
Nickelodeon, there was all these shows like
better hurry up.
Bye, Priscilla, oh my God. Like My Brother and Me and Space
Oh,
Cases
My Brother and Me,
that had very limited runs.
Yeah, My
where
Brother
it
and Me was like
12
14 episodes or something. Yeah, 12.
And they put it out and there would just be rerun after rerun after rerun. But we grew up with that shit.
I
So
love
it's
it.
like
I
we could
loved it.
recite those episodes back and forth.
I always, and that was before we had, well, I guess I had the internet at that point, but we weren't using it like this, where it was like, I would sit down and watch, My Brother and Me every day, like, or every Saturday, whatever it was, and I'd be like, waiting for a new episode for like 2 years.
that's
And
the
it just
Space
wasn't going to
Cases.
happen.
See, My Brother and Me, it was like a sitcom that just like, it didn't need, it wasn't a storyline. It was ongoing. I mean, Goo was getting into all his adventures and stuff.
Goo.
But I mean, no episodes mattered, their order or anything. You can just see them out of order. Space Cases was a Star Trek for kids. So
Space
there
Cases
like-
was rad.
It was awesome. And there was like a whole story going. That had 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it just ended. There wasn't a finale. There wasn't a last episode. It just ended. But they didn't inform any of us about this. And this also went over Space Cases.
Okay.
And this also goes over to Beetleborgs, which was a Power Ranger knockoff. And oh, good Lord, there was a lot of Power Ranger knockoffs. VR Troopers, all these other motherfuckers.
I remember VR Troopers.
But it's like, when I was a little kid, the more the merrier. Mystic Knights of Tirnanog, they looked
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
There was a whole bunch of shit. And
remember that name.
so many of those shows didn't end. They
Yeah.
just kept
Stopped.
going and then stopped. So I remember Beetleborgs. Oh, I was so into that. They had the first season. It was dope. Second season, Metallics. I'm like, oh, I'm so sold on this. And then all of a sudden, waiting for season 3, all the toys released in Toys R Us. I bought them all, waiting to see what's going to happen. And season 3 just never happened.
Wow.
It's sad. I mean, that was the way it was back then. This just reminded me real quick about Christine and I were watching a few months ago when Greg was like on a trip. We were watching Yu-Gi-Oh, the show, like the cartoon.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
But well, I think
it's
it was
the better of the two,
But
right?
I think it was
'Cause
Yu-
there's like a Pokemon show or about
is
some balls or
garbage.
some
Pokemon
shit. And
was
then there
garbage.
Yu-Gi-Oh, that was better.
Then they
right?
improved on it with Digimon.
Oh, Digimon. Digimon, that's what I'm thinking of. That's the better
Digimon
of all
was
three of them,
they
right?
put the D in front of it because it was definitive.
Damn.
Can I finish my story
As
now?
in
Yeah.
dropping the mic. A D.
And I thought it was so funny that we've gotten to the point, maybe I'm just old again with the customizable card games, because I played some of these games when I was a kid, Magic and Star Wars and stuff. But where the entire cartoon, I think I'm thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh, was consisted of them playing a card game in cartoon form and explaining the rules and what the cards did. That was the entire cartoon. And Christine and I was just sitting, and I was just sitting there, I'm like, and he's like, I'm gonna use this card now. It means this,
activate
this,
my
and
trap
this.
card.
And I'm like, can't you just play the game?
No, but Colin,
like,
you
I
don't understand. Like, so
they're on
Yu-Gi-Oh
a train the
came.
entire time. They're on a
Yu-Gi-Oh
train.
came at the best time because we grew up with Pokemon. That hit us when we were young, and they had the cards come out, and we didn't give a shit about playing that game. Nobody played the Pokemon trading card game. Everyone just collected it, put it in a binder, traded them. Done. Right? Saw if it was shiny, and that was cool. Yu-Gi-Oh came at the much more pivotal point of puberty. Right?
you can understand.
So I
you
was
gave
there,
all these
and I
animals
had 2
boobs.
options. I was like, I can go talk to girls, or I can play card games because now I understand this. Now, I was still too young for Magic. Magic, I
Magic
can't
is
even imagine
hard.
that,
I still
right?
don't
That
understand.
was the older brothers. The older brothers played Magic, but Yu-Gi-Oh, that show came out. I'm like, oh, I can get behind this. They're playing the card game. That's kind of cool. Me and my friends were addicted to that shit. We spent so much money and we played the shit out of it. So much fun.
When you
It's-
weren't
oh,
doing that, you were
it's a-
furiously masturbating.
That was it.
Oh my god, I was masturbating so much. Everything, my sheets were just. You could just break them. You could drop them.
Your mom comes in. She's like,
Jesus.
"There's no tape on these cards. How are they stuck to the wall?"
All All right, so the
Magic.
90s for me. I was born in 84, so I came of cognizance probably around the same time, 80. I mean, I remember things in the late 80s. So
I remember bits and pieces, but I mean, like, I think kindergarten is like the solidification of like something's happening day to day, and I remember this. And
so life was NES every day, and then later SNES. G.I. Joe, I was obsessed with G.I. Joes. Like, it can't even be understated how obsessed with G.I. Joes I was. Just ask anyone in my family. I had fucking a million of those things. And then it was hockey and wiffle ball and rollerblading and biking around and barbecues. And I had an in-ground pool, and so we would swim a lot. And it was a lot of travel because my parents had gotten divorced at that point. My mom worked for Delta Connector, and so we used to be able to fly like around in a limited fashion. I used to go to Boston a lot, and Maine, and New Hampshire, and Vermont, and all that kind of stuff. So it was the 90s were a lot of those things. The 90s were also when I became musically cognizant, started playing drums. That's when I got into 311 about 20 years ago, which is fucking unbelievable. When I first got my first 311 record, it was 1995. Actually, it was 96, so it was 19 years ago. The album came out in 95. MTV. I remember for some reason I remember the video for Prodigy's "Breathe" really well, and when the Wallflowers "Down Comes the Horse" or whatever the fuck it was called, that record with the stars on it with like one headlight and all that stuff. I just remember like a lot of these. I remember grunge, and I don't know. I remember
music
a lot of
videos, man. I mean, that
was a big part of it. Yeah,
whatever music videos you remember in your head, that was what it was. And I think for me, a big part of it started with "Thong Song" by Cisco.
Yeah, Cisco.
Because that was like I was a little kid. I'm like, oh, I'm about this. And then I remember seeing all the MTV Spring Break. That was like my life.
MTV Spring Break.
It was so built around.
Fuck, do they still do that?
No, they do. They do.
They?
Yeah, it's different though.
It's not nearly as raunchy.
But that was like that was the raunchiest thing you could see, and it just took over everyone's life.
That shit was on your house forever.
Yeah, in 2 weeks you just let the TV on and you just see like it was TRL all day. It was just countdown after countdown after countdown.
Yeah.
The same videos.
No, but am I
to
thinking the same thing where they would they would go from TRL to then there would be a beach with hot girls and they'd be like, let's climb a thing, and then bikini people would and like Bill Bellamy would be like, we're climbing a thing today, and then there's these just hot ass girls like on the beach yelling at you.
We're doing a live episode of The Grind.
Yeah,
like somebody's gonna come out and Cisco's gonna come out and perform, and all these girls
singled out
who are just wasted are gonna singled out. All these drunk college girls on spring break are gonna come out in their
They
bikinis.
do karaoke. I remember the karaoke was a big thing, and then they did a bunch of stupid contests where it's like, all right, you have this little plastic bag. The winner is whoever fills it with the most body hair. And I remember there was one contest that I'll never forget. It was like 3 girls and this like 2 guys, and the girls were kind of like screwed. Like they just didn't have much. Like one of them was like kind of shaving her armpits, and it was like a moment where everyone was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But then, it was just like it was so graphic, and I'll never forget. There was like this bald dude, and he was like, "Fuck," because like one of the other guys started going for his hair. The bald guy just looks at the camera, turns around, and just starts like shaving his balls, and put it in and he won.
Yeah, well,
Good job, bald guy.
He earned it.
That bald guy went on to be Michael Chiklis.
Yeah. What else is there? I mean, again, like
for me there was a lot. I mean, for me, like because that you guys were talking about how you were all like roughly 5 or 6. I was 10. And so I remember, like, I don't remember any of the shows you just named because I was too old to watch. By then, I had moved on to shows like Beavis and Butt-Head, right? Which was, I remember my to go back to our prior conversation about like how the more things change, the more they always stay the same. My mom watched me watch Beavis and Butt-Head and was like, this is it. Society is dead. This is as stupid as it gets. This is as moronic and like sophomoric as it gets. And there is no depth to this at all. But for me, it was holy shit, this is a cartoon that is not a cartoon. Like, this is a cartoon about 2 fucking losers who are just wasting their life. And prior to that, you remember every cartoon before that had been like, hey, we're gonna save the day. We're G.I. Joe. Don't kill anyone. And Beavis and Butt-Head are frying fucking rats in the deep fryer and serving them to people and making fun of music videos, right?
Awesome.
And so to me, I was like, oh my god, this is a revolution to me. And then that to me was. It's funny because you talk about spring. That was always just noise to me. I waited for like the Real World. I loved that.
Oh my god,
Road
the
Rules.
Real World.
All of those things to me were like, I'm like, I kind of have to watch this. This is so weird. Like, a show just about a bunch of people that are like living in a house together.
Well, that was the thing. Remember how like crazy that was. Like that
It
was
was
still
weird.
so, like that was the the birth of reality television. That and like Road Rules and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you started watching that shit, you're like, what is this?
But see, I've always been one of those people that like once I find something, I'm super loyal to it.
Yeah.
Like almost to a fault, to the point where like, dude, you gotta stop watching that. Like
Yeah.
it's not cool anymore. So like when Road Rules happened, I was like, I can't remember which one was first. I think Real World.
Real
was
World
first.
was first.
But I hit Real World first, and I was like, I'm into Real World. Road Rules is some
Bastardized,
bastardized
garbage,
version
yeah.
of this where the people actually have to do something.
Yeah, I hated that. I hated the
Bullshit.
challenges and shit. Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah.
I think in Real World, they still had to work. They all had a job where they're like, we're gonna do a sustainable
they
garden.
they
in
had to
Seattle.
start doing that. They had
Yeah,
to start
yeah,
doing that because it got
stupid.
boring with people sitting around watching TV.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Or like fighting over each other's peanut butter.
That was an epic moment. No one will ever forget.
There wasn't
That was like that's when we talk about like how it is now. You know, last topic and like how fragmented we are, and there's no like rhyme or reason. You're into all this stuff. Nobody knows what it is. Da da da. We're big in these different communities or whatever. You think back to fucking
Puck eating Pedro's peanut butter.
You think back to what I think that's 1994 Real World San
it is.
Francisco.
Probably.
And like you remember when like Pedro died right after that series finale or season
serious.
finale, which was crazy. And fucking Bill Clinton had a video play there. And you know what I mean? And he said this like epic thing. He's like, no one in America can say that they don't, and I'm paraphrasing, that they haven't known somebody living with AIDS thanks to him in the real world. And like that was a big moment for people to realize because at the time like AIDS and HIV was still such a like, oh, that's a gay problem. We have to worry about
Yeah,
it. Da, da,
yeah,
da, da.
no,
And
very
it
much
wasn't
so.
survivable.
And they're monsters and this and like
Yeah.
no, you see this and you're like, this guy's totally normal and awesome. And Puck's an asshole. Kick him out of the house. Yes, kick him out of the house.
And he got kicked out of the house.
Well, that's
There
the
was
thing about the
and there was-
'90s that's crazy is like just the way things have changed from the like what was acceptable then to now.
Sure.
Like recently, Big Daddy was on TV and I'm watching it. Adam Sandler. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, classic '90s Sandler, whatever. Watching it and I'm like, oh my god, so many of the jokes in that. There's so many gay jokes. In
Oh,
that,
yeah, so-
that I'm just like, how did this fly? And then I think back, I'm like, it was funny then. Like this was like these were jokes. These were totally cool. That would not make it into something now.
Oh god, no.
No,
yeah.
God, no.
And that really makes me think about like where are we now in terms of like what jokes cannot be made in movies now, like later when we're looking back
Yeah,
now.
5
and
years
we're
ago.
like-
Right.
and I think a lot of it's just like jokes about like women and stuff like that. I think
Sure.
that's gonna totally change. And like it's really interesting to just think about all of it because the '90s were a different time.
They really were.
Yeah.
And it was, and you know, you had times like just think about all the amazing things that happened in the 90s. Everyone always talks about the 80s, and I always say I love the 80s for various reasons as far as cinema is concerned. But the 90s, really, there was a lot. There's a lot that happened. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure South Park started in the 90s.
Yeah, it did 98.
And so I
Or it might have
remember
been 97.
going on.
No, I was in high school, so yeah, I would have been.
I think it was 90. I want to say it was 98 or 97.
It was 97, I think it was
I
97.
went to colleges. I was going to go like visit college campuses for the first time, and my parents and I went on a road trip up to like San Luis Obispo to see. I guess it was Cal State San Luis Obispo, because I was just trying to look at everything in California, and we were staying in a motel, and the episode of South Park with the alien anal probes.
Oh, yeah.
was
First
on.
episode.
Was it the first episode? And I was like, this show. I just channel surfing, and I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. It's an animated thing, and I've always been drawn to animated things, and I'm like, this show's brilliant.
too.
Again, another one of those moments where I'm like, this is wildly different.
Yeah,
and
this is completely
wildly
different, yeah.
inappropriate. And like, this is an animated show about kids in junior high, and they're talking about getting
Elementary school.
Oh, that's right, elementary school, and they're talking about, and they're still in elementary school, right?
Yeah.
I gotta like say, talking about getting their asses probed by aliens, like that's, and like Cartman actually got his ass probed, and he's like, you guys, I'm so, you know, and so like when you talk about the number one voice that I probably did in the '90s, it was Cartman. I think everyone did Cartman. Remember, there was a time in your life where everything was like, "Oh my God, you guys, are you kidding me? For really is?" Or I can't remember.
Cheryl
what
does
he
a
said now.
fucking killer Cartman, believe it or not, which is so funny. Like,
No.
when I'm like, where are you breaking that out from? What?
Just rap
What?
it.
Her best
Why?
impression is the old man from Family Guy.
Yeah, she does the old man from Family, like the creepy old man from Family Guy.
Yeah.
She does it.
You do a good old man too.
Perfect. She's just absolutely perfect with that. Yeah, I mean,
Family Guy's another one, but I don't think Family Guy was until the early 2000s.
no, Family Guy was 2000, I think.
But yeah, I mean, you had
might have been
that.
that.
You
No,
had-
it was earlier than that, and then remember it got canceled. And I remember Family Guy being a big deal that I loved got canceled. Then it came back and got canceled again.
It might
right?
have been 99
And
to
then
2001.
They put out the DVDs while I was in college,
Yeah,
and it had already been canceled. And everyone bought the DVDs, and they were like, "Oh fuck!" And they brought Family Guy back because
It got actually kicked off the air.
Was
at
that what
one
it was?
point. Yeah,
I
it
thought it was
got
double canceled.
canceled, and then I think it came back and got. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure at one point it got pulled off the air for the. There was an episode where, guys, we did an episode where he was talking about how much he hates New Yorkers or like how much they hate tourists.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of that, like he ends up getting in a fight with Lois, like a physical fight because she was taking karate and like beat the shit out of each other. And they're like, "This is it. We got to pull this show."
Oh really?
I think I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm in the comments below or on the forums.
Might be an episode they don't air anymore. Kind of like the Puerto Rican Day Parade episode of Seinfeld that they don't air.
Seinfeld was a
another
big
one.
part of it.
Yes, I mean Seinfeld's huge. I mean that's what I was going to say was that all right. So television was just a huge and pivotal point of
Yeah.
that. I mean, we mentioned before you can't do that on television, and Finders Keepers were fucking really essential like late '80s, early '90s Nickelodeon watching for me. Finders Keepers especially, I fucking loved that show. And Finders Keepers, for people that don't know, was a show where two teams of two kids would be in a house. It was like a house set, and there would be some sort of trivia they'd win, and then they'd have to go through the house and like ransack it to like find certain shit. I fucking loved that show.
I do remember that.
I love that show. And when I was in college, Ramon and I used to get fucked up and watch it at night on Nick Gas.
Nick Gas. Wow.
Which doesn't exist anymore. And then Welcome Back Freshman. Hey dude.
Hey dude.
Do you remember
okay.
Welcome Back Freshman?
No.
Like that's I feel
That
like
one I don't remember.
It was a Nickelodeon show where like they were just kids and like they were ninth graders or whatever, but it was like a comedy, and the principal would always talk to them over the loudspeaker and shit like that. That show was awesome. Obviously Guts and Double Dare and there was a Nick Arcade was fucking awesome.
Nick Arcade was that thing where you saw it and you're like, I want that so bad. The only thing I wanted more than that was the Toys R Us.
Oh, shopping
cart.
spree. Oh, fuck
my
yeah, dude.
Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wanted that thing.
What's funny is you guys are saying these things, and I know all of them, but I didn't watch any of these shows. I think I watched them. I had friends that loved Nickelodeon, so when I would go over to their house, they would. Maybe it's because I didn't have cable. Was it a cable show?
Yeah, Nickelodeon was cable.
Yeah.
See, I didn't have cable until probably.
2 days ago.
No, I want to say I didn't have cable throughout the entire 80s. So Nickelodeon to me was just not a thing. I was like, I don't understand this. And then eventually, by the time we got it, I was like, HBO all the way.
old.
HBO and MTV were my thing.
Yeah. I mean, the
That's
big thing I
interesting.
think so if you were a kid from 85 to 2005, whatever it's in there, I think that the biggest things it's the transition from Nickelodeon, Disney, and Cartoon Network to MTV, VH1,
Right.
whatever. Then eventually
VH1.
you make it
The rise
way
and
up.
fall of VH1.
The
That was
rise
in
and
the
fall
90s.
and rise and fall of VH1.
VH1
Pop-up
is
video, son.
awesome. Oh my god, I love
Video
the
was great.
series.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
That
That was
shit
their return, I thought, right?
changed me. I mean, I don't know.
Behind the music.
Behind the
Before
music
that.
was
Behind
the
the
jam.
music.
Oh, that
it was
too,
like,
yeah.
and then because here was the most amazing thing about Behind the Music. I swear to God, it was in every single one of them. There was the and then moment,
Yeah, big time.
and then they started doing heroin. Wow! Right? It was like
Yeah,
the picture would like spiral and slash, and, like, and that was always the beginning of the end. And then someone either died or
Then
they
there
would
was
all
like
get
the
they would
redemption.
detox,
Like,
right?
now he lives on the beach.
Right.
He walks with his dog.
Right, because they did the one with Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they were like, and they were awesome when they did heroin. Then they stopped, and now they haven't done a really good album since. But yeah, VH1 was awesome, and that was another one of those instances where you're like, what? How did I not know that this show was like a thing? When you would see, like I Love the '80s for the first time, and it was like fresh. I was like, that was only like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that. Hey, I remember Star Wars.
Yeah, VH1 definitely was hitting on all cylinders for a while with that kind of stuff. I also, I mean, I can't believe I haven't brought it up yet, but I got to give a big shout out to TGIF, of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which was TGIF for years was just everything. That and Snick on
Oh,
Saturday.
God.
What's
Oh,
Snick?
Snick was
yeah.
Saturday night
Nick.
Nickelodeon.
Are You
It was
Afraid
like
of
the
Dark?
Orange Cow.
and-
That
Are You
is.
Afraid of Dark
Clarissa.
and Clarissa, and I think Roundhouse was one of the shows for a while. I think Alex Mack started on
Alex
Snick,
Mack was
Alex
there.
Mack was
and
there.
I had such a crush on Alex
Everyone
Mack when
had
I
a
was
crush
kid.
on Alex Mack.
That's why it was so fun to see her like as we
Meets
grow
World.
older. 10 Things I Hate About You,
All right,
Yeah.
yeah.
where it's like she like, and then like I've always been a little younger than her, and now you see her in Mad Men. She wasn't.
Yeah.
Was she? Oh,
Yeah,
she's
she's
one of
that was
the
the younger daughter.
She's only in like
Cosgrove's.
10 episodes or
What?
something.
She was the younger daughter, right?
No,
And
she
No,
was
she's
Ken
like
10 Things I Hate About
Cosgrove's
You.
wife.
And 10
Yeah.
Things
Oh,
I Hate
10
About
Things-
You.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
the one that was. No, wait.
She was the younger daughter.
That was
Yeah.
the Taming of the Shrew remake, right?
Yeah.
With Heath Ledger and
Yes.
Joseph
Stiles.
Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Julia Stiles. God, it's a good movie, actually.
Yeah, it is a good movie. So I got to give a shout out to Snick, and I got to give a shout out to because I just really like that. Those were events for me. Like I on Friday nights, like after school, I'd go play wiffle ball or go play hockey or something, and like I'd come home at 8. Like I'd be home and I'd be ready to go.
Yeah.
At 8, and the same thing with Snick. I'd be ready to go at 8.
Yeah, I remember trying to
And,
finish dinner to get ready for Snick, yeah.
It was, and I just
Isn't that-
I loved Snick. Like I loved. Are You Afraid of the Dark was so fucking awesome. Like I loved that show. I really, really,
It was great,
really.
man.
I thought it was very thought provoking. It was like Twilight Zone for fucking kids. I mean, that's basically what it was. It was just a horror themed, more horror themed Twilight Zone. And before you could really understand and watch Twilight Zone and really appreciate it, because Twilight Zone is almost unbeatable. it's like that was almost the gateway drug to like high storytelling.
And I was missing out on this like earlier when I was naming stuff. And when you were mentioning Snick, I was like, what the fuck am I missing? All that.
Oh, all that,
right.
All that
SNL
was like,
for kids.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh my God. I mean, that if anything kind of put me on the path that I'm at today, like from an early state, it was that. It's like,
Pete.
I can be a little kid that's funny. Like that's that's what I want to do.
Right.
And like, oh my God, that was great. And then that turned into Kenan and Kel, which classic. So good. So goddamn good.
You mentioned Twilight, or not Twilight, excuse me, Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was X-Files. That was
X-Files.
That was one of
So
those
good
where
too.
I was that show hit, and I'm like, this is cool. This is a show that really knows its audience and really understands like fun, cool sci-fi horror and how to tell that. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to a show that holds a special place in my heart because I never thought I'd like it. It was one of those shows that when I was a kid, I fought against liking it until one day I was like, it was the first instance I remember of thinking, shit, I like this show that I'm not supposed to like. And it was a show called Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh, dude, I love Beverly Hills 90210. All about it.
And I watched way too much of that show to the point where I was like, I mean, you have to understand, I don't have an older sister. It's just me.
You had no excuse.
I had no excuse.
I was gonna say, that was my excuse.
I didn't have an older sister. It was just on, and I was like, give it a shot. Because nothing else is on. I'm gonna give it a shot. And then slowly but surely, I had to come to terms with the fact that I in fact liked Beverly Hills.
I got to see what's up with the
You got
Walshes.
those moments, man. For me, it was Degrassi and One Tree Hill.
Oh, Degrassi.
You get
Like old
fucking
Degrassi,
in
like
it.
80s
No,
Degrassi?
no, the Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
Which had all the same characters as the parents.
I love the thing I love about Degrassi is that it just never like if you go back, it's
What
just
was
been on
Degrassi?
for fucking ever. It's been
It
on
was
for
a
like,
Canadian high school drama show.
That was the one where Drake came up.
Drake
on,
came
right?
from Next Generation. Yeah.
but it was really like I watched on Amazon. I don't know if it's still there. I started watching the original like 85, 86 like series, and
It goes there.
It's dark as fuck.
That's the tagline. Is it goes there.
Like in one of the first episodes, like both of the kids' parents, one of the kids' parents just die in like a car accident. And he has like a fight with them beforehand, and then they go to the movies and they die in a car accident. I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Like, so
Teach
yeah,
these kids some
Drake
goddamn
got shot.
values.
Degrassi was a very popular, still popular, I think.
Very popular.
It's still on?
Canadian.
Yeah, it kept going. It got to like the next generation, and then they stopped it, and now it's like a web show. But it's like it's still going.
So
just
it's
that's what
basically
people are
high
consuming
school,
it.
but like every 4 years they change the cast or what?
Yeah, and I mean, like the way they have it is like there's this whole cinematic universe for it, where the characters from the '80s show are like the parents and like the principal and all that stuff of it, and then it's all the kids. But then those kids have little brothers and sisters who had been characters earlier. Then
Got
they grow
it.
into high
And they
school,
grow
and they
up.
have their
Yeah,
friends,
okay.
and it just kind of keeps going.
it's
but it's
clever.
all one universe.
It was
Jay and Silent Bob were in it.
Really?
Yeah, they were. Kevin Smith directed and wrote a 3-part episode.
That was the first time I'd ever heard of it.
Yeah, it was a. I mean, I had not been exposed until I was too old to be watching Degrassi.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop me. I want to be clear, that didn't stop me.
Shouldn't.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed like these various like touchstone shows, but I do unfortunately because we were just talking about it with the Snapchat thing. You know, we were dumb kids or whatever. God, I was just like so immersed in television. It was just
we all were.
I was just so obsessed with that shit, and to the point of the X-Files, like the X-Files used to scare the shit out of me. Like the intro music.
Oh yeah, Alone.
Yeah, like the intro music, that and Unsolved Mysteries, which was like a huge joke in my house. Like people like used to just blast Unsolved Mysteries when I was on to scare the shit because they knew it would like bother me or whatever. Like,
Tonight.
No one ever
No,
knew
Robert Stack, go
that
away.
the man was living right next door
Robert,
to the
like
child.
Unsolved Mysteries theme song is it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And Robert Stack's just like in some fucking
He's
castle.
always in a trench. Yeah, he's in a trench coat.
He's like in a trench coat, just like smoke and like and he's like in a in
you
like
don't
a turret
know
of the
this.
castle.
They should
but
put
the
all
killer
those
might
on
be living
Netflix,
under
man.
your bed.
I
Yeah.
would love to watch me some goddamn Unsolved Mysteries. Again. Yeah, but no, I think TV like it's just like what we were talking about earlier. Like you're impressionable and you're young and all this shit's awesome. It's like Saved by the Bell. Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Parker Lewis Can't Lose was the jam.
It's such a. I love
The
that
jam.
fucking show, man.
It got canceled way too early.
Yeah, I know,
Way too
I
early.
know.
It was before its time.
Another coming of age MTV one we didn't bring up. Undressed. I remember
Undressed,
Undressed.
that was gonna be that was such a momentous thing. Of
Oh,
like,
it's
they're-
so hot.
It's all gonna be about them. They're like kids near our age. They're having sex in
talking about
college. and done
panties?
it. Yeah, exactly.
They said
exactly.
panties?
Yeah.
I used to think that. I remember watching Undressed being like, this is so hot. Like,
Yeah.
like-
Oh my God.
Like, and it wasn't even like you weren't like sitting there. At least I wasn't furiously masturbating or anything. But you were watching and being like, this is what because it was all about college and we were in right.
Yeah.
We were in high school at the time and I was like, this is so extraordinary. Like I'm like I can't wait to go to college. College now.
I want to touch that. I can't wait to touch that.
Yeah, that's a great example. Man, Undressed was. And I got to give a shout out to, speaking out MTV, we talked about Beavis and Butt-Head, which was awesome. That was the only show my parents wouldn't let me watch ever. Like, when I was all,
they were right to.
And I used to just go to my friend's house and watch it. But Daria.
Daria
was another really
good.
I connected very deeply with
Man,
that show.
MTV closed out every night, I remember, with some great fucking show. Whether it was Real World Road Rules, Daria. They had like a great fucking lineup. Undressed was on like what, 3 times a week, 2 times a week?
Really late, yeah.
And
like
it was on
10:30.
late, and it was weird. It was weird because they'd have like 3 different story threads for like a month, and then like sub somebody out and do this, and then fucking Loveline was on, like when they did the Loveline TV show. Yeah.
God damn.
Oh right, Jesus, yeah.
So were you guys entirely like? Does Disney Channel have any resonance with any of you?
No.
Never
I
watched
remember
it.
What was it?
Disney Channel.
growing up.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I remember Kids Incorporated. I watched Kids Incorporated. That was the one I liked. But like outside of that, no. We left that. I left that stratosphere before it became what it became for you.
Yeah, Disney Channel to me, like what I remember about Disney Channel, it existed and people had it, but there was like tiers of cable on Long Island. I'm sure it was like that everywhere. Where like we had expanded cable, but Disney was not included in it. Like you had to get like another package. So
See,
I just
for
think
me,
yeah,
that
same for
was
me.
Cartoon Network. So I have none of those memories. Like all these like.
Oh, Cartoon Network was
contemporaries
the
to me.
jam for a while, dude. Like Dexter's Lab or
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo,
Girls.
Dexter's Laboratory is awesome.
All of those were like.
And I just missed out on all that. That
Those
was
were
when I went to
great.
my uncle's house and I like was allowed to,
But see,
watch
to me,
TV.
those were great because they were the antithesis of the Disney stuff. Like you'd seen Disney
Adult
animation,
Cartoon
you were
Network?
like, well, like Dexter's Lab was like, you were like, well, this is weird. Maybe it was just the Gendy. I can never say the guy's last name, Tartatovsky, the guy that did like Dexter's Lab and I think he did Powerpuff Girls also.
Yeah.
Huge inspiration on my brother.
But yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Definitely. Those were awesome because you'd watch them and you were like, this is kind of like a normal kid's show, but kind of twisted and a little bit like sarcastic, just to a degree.
I think you just weren't watching the other stuff because it was all the same.
Maybe. Maybe because at that time I craved those. I was like, I really want kind of smart animation, and then you got to what I would think was probably the pinnacle of animation in the '90s, which was Clone High. And when you hit
Clone High.
and then it was the first
Mr. B?
animated show that actually got pulled.
That one, and that's the one that broke my heart.
Yeah.
That's the one I remembered getting pulled because I was so into it, and you never knew how it ended. And in college, years later in college, I had a friend who had the DVDs from Canada.
Yeah.
That's
and you
such
watch
a
that
weird
last
show.
episode, and it ends on such a horrible cliffhanger. You're like, oh my god.
It's so weird to me because that is one of the few shows. That show and Paperboy, the game, are 2 things that I'm like, how does everybody have the same experience I did with that game or show? I would have never expected it to be that much of a hit. I thought it was a weird thing that only I watched or only I played.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone fucking did. But it's not like it was some huge primetime thing that was promoted all the time. But everybody I know loves those
Well,
things.
it's because it had a really strong pilot episode, and every episode that followed, it just hit. It just nailed it, man. That show was one of the only animated shows that in South Park made me gutturally laugh out loud. Where like their impression of John F. Kennedy was just, I'm like, this is so fucking hilarious, and I can see at the same time, and I must have been like I'm 16, 17 at this point. I'm like, this. I don't know a lot about the world because I grew up in Riverside, California, which is a very small town in Southern California. Our side, as they say. Not a bad place, just little closed off from the rest of the world. But I think that this is offensive to some degree. And then Gandhi came out, and I was like, no, I think that this portrayal of Gandhi as sort of a nerd who's trying to get laid instead of like an amazing religious and spiritual leader may be construed as slightly offensive to people. And sure shit it was. It got pulled, and it got pulled fast, man. It was like, I think they only had aired 6 or 7 episodes. Yeah. And they hit. I guess they did a whole season. I think Dagan said they did a whole season.
In Canada, Canada ran the whole season or the whole season.
Yeah, they yanked that shit fast, and I was like, dude, this is
up there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that show.
Hail Canada.
That show was spot on for me. That was one of those where I'm like, they fucking nailed this show.
Crushed it.
And then it was gone. I'm like, that's what sucks. And that's to our prior conversation where it's like, yeah, everything's moving so fast. At least because of the internet now. Like, that show would have had a chance of coming back. Had it gotten canceled, it would have immediately gone to Netflix.
Right.
And Netflix would be like, nope, we'll take it. You don't want it on network television? We'll take it. Or it would have gone to Hulu or been on the web. So someone would have kickstarted it and been like, please keep this going. And then it would have gone one more season and been terrible. And they're like, okay, we're good. We're good. We don't need it anymore. But you know what I mean? Like, that was so sad about it. The 90s were so finite. The show would just come up. And you had no idea if that was the next episode of X-Men or not. Like, I don't know where this is in the timeline of X. Oh, we're in the age of apocalypse now?
All right.
Dope. Okay. 1 episode. Never knew what the fuck happened with that, until I ended up watching them on Netflix 10, 15 years later.
You're right. Colin, we're now going to initiate a crowdfunding thing for us to bring back a Space Cases My Brother and Me crossover.
I would love
We
that.
need to know what happened.
I would love that.
We need
Space
to know
Cases,
the story.
Space Cases was so good. Harlan, man.
I can't believe it's taking this long for any of you to bring up Boy Meets World.
No, we did. I mean, we don't need to.
Okay.
I
It's
mean,
just-
I think we
goes
got
without
to good
saying.
territory. We hadn't been. We've talked a lot about TGIF and Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
we got out into new territory.
I have to give the last thing I need to say is because I brought up Disney Channel original movies. I'm just so upset that you guys didn't. have
Brink.
those.
Well, so at that point,
okay,
Brink.
thank you.
98 was when I got Disney Channel, and I think spring '98 was when Brink came out.
Brink was one of the
watching.
first ones. Susie Q with the Pink Ranger. One of the first moments I realized that like women were an important thing in my life. The movie opens up with her going to prom. Spoilers: she dies.
Oh fuck!
It's
Jesus.
a
She
very
took it to
bad-
the
drunk
brink.
driving. But
Wait, you
took
were
it
drunk
to the
driving or
brink.
she kill herself?
drunk driving.
Oh, okay. Kevin
Someone-
made she
a car
shot
hits her,
herself in
she
her
comes
head.
off of the.
Jesus, Kevin.
It's the whole thing,
Insensitive.
but the movie opens with her getting dressed for
Insensitive.
prom,
Oh, I
and
see
she's
what's
like
going
in her underwear, and then like getting into this dress, and like that moment changed me. Like
Yeah.
that, it was that changed who I was.
I remember there was a Disney movie original where it was like Freaky Friday, where the two sisters switch bodies.
Yeah.
And one of them was Katherine Heigl, and it was her first like thing
Yeah,
ever. And I
yeah.
remember stopping on that one and watching that.
hot.
And if that was on TV, I was watching that as well.
Man, I'm blanking on the name of that. This
Doesn't
sucks.
matter. Thank you, Rhonda Strong. That was a great topic.
That was a
enjoyed
fun
that
one.
one.
That was an enjoyable
Thanks,
one.
guys.
We believed in it so much, we think it's going to be one of the best performing ones, so we sponsored it. This is from Squarespace. Squarespace has sponsored this topic as well as Rhonda Strong. They're working together in conjunction. Thank you both for your support. Nick,
Yes.
we use Squarespace.
I just used it again, yeah.
What did you use it for now?
My brother needed a website designed real quick, and he was like, I'm going to use this other thing. And I'm like, don't do that because I can help you out real quick, and I can do it in like an hour. And I did it for him in an hour, and he was blown away by how cool it looks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened. That's
Yeah,
every
my
time I come here, I expect you just to tell me about kindoffunny.com being built on Squarespace and how
No,
great it was.
my brother's doing a fun thing over on YouTube called Teen Dance Challenge, but you can go to teendancechallenge.com and you can see that site's been built with Squarespace. I
Okay.
built it in I think like an hour and a half. I probably took a little longer than I needed to because I'm not about spacing, so I'm
Sure.
like, I'm gonna put this little space right here and cool stuff. But yeah, everything's just it's so easy to use and templated that you can just go get a cool website that looks exactly like that and within a few hours have something nice.
All right. Well, if you want to go to Squarespace, ladies and gentlemen, and get 10% off your first purchase, go there and use the offer code KINDOFFUNNY. You enter it, you get in there, you get 10% off. Of course, Squarespace provides simple, powerful, and beautiful. Of course, Squarespace provides simple, powerful, and beautiful website. I'm going to say that they left out tools. Website tools that look professionally designed regardless of skill level. No coding required. Not only does Squarespace provide you with intuitive and easy-to-use tools to create the website with, Squarespace also has state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. We're secure and stable, right, Nick?
100%.
Thank you. And you know you can trust in Squarespace for your website needs when millions of people like us and some of the most respected brands in the world, like us, trusted them too. We're a respected brand in the world,
Very
right?
Definitely one of the most respected
Tim's
brands.
huge on everything.
So everybody go to squarespace.com, enter the offer code KINDOFFUNNY, get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace, build it beautiful. As always, thank you for your support, Squarespace.
Is it build it beautiful,
Yes, it is. It's build it
or
beautiful.
build it beautiful?
It's build it beautiful.
Build it beautiful.
Build it beautiful. Is that
Build
what you
it,
said?
comma, beautiful?
Yeah.
Build it, you beautiful bastard. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Game Over Greggy Show. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can toss us a few bucks and get every episode early. If you got no bucks to toss, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post everything topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire show for free on Friday as an MP3 and video. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Nick, you're always on that fucking phone.
I just had a
You
good
got
idea for a
shattered
topic.
thing.
Oh, like you should
got a
talk.
different
You're on your
topic.
phone for fucking 2 topics.
That was the point.
Away.
That was
Colin's phone was
you
blowing
you
up.
looked at your
Colin's
phone
getting-
during that time.
I'm
too.
getting a bunch of text messages here.
No. I wasn't even making fun of that
Colin
one.
literally-
Yeah, I've seen your family conversation that's happening. When you were looking at the Snapchat information.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Colin and I had an entire conversation with one look. Did you guys see that earlier?
No.
Where I looked at him because the phone was going off, and I gave him that buzzing is annoying me. And Colin looked back at me and said, "I realize that's annoying you, and now that I know it's annoying you, I'm gonna let it keep going." And that whole thing happened, and then I was like, "Touche." And
It's just like
that's how we do it.
The Disney Channel movie was called Wish Upon a Star.
Fuck yes, that's my boy. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.